Race 2 coming to the line here, and once again we've got that reverse grid situation, which means that on pole position here, and if he gets here early we'll have a look at him, newcomer Todd Ellis. What a sensational season they've had, leading the 600 Cup after just 3 rounds. Here they come. Number 6, Todd Ellis and Charlie Richardson, pole position for the first time in a British Championship sidecar event. Alongside them, Rupert Archer. Hey, look at him. He's a good boy, isn't he? And Steve in there. So Rupert Archer then, number 70 on the Hannafin Kawasaki. Steve Thomas does a great job for him. And you can see the array. Going back to row 5, it's the Birchells and the Reeves, side by side, another 20-lapper. And what I omitted to say, right at the back, Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark, after changing their engine in 2.5 hours. That must be a record engine change time, but it's Tim and Tristan lining up there on row 5, as I say. Pete Founds, Jevon Walmsley, number 72, Brian Gray and Jason Pitt. Andy Peach and Ken Edwards out of it. So they're retiring, they won't race at all. They've headed straight for the garage, an early bath for them. So Rupert Archer alongside Todd Ellis, 1000cc Suzuki plays 600cc, and away they go. 20 laps ahead of them. Look at the boys charging through. Onto the grass goes McLaren, but it's Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde, number 44. Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde. There, Tim and Tristan, first race winners already up to 4th place. This is incredible. From row 5, he's got a knack of charging through the field. I wonder where Kershaw is. Is he doing as well as this guy? Look, is he up to 2nd? Almost up to 2nd. That's Gary Horsepole and James Connell, number 32. There's Pete Founds, Jevon Walmsley, 72 on the short bike. Alan Founds and Tom Peters on the number 8 Brian Gray power bike in Yamaha. And here, oh, look at that. Tim takes no prisoners, does he? Up the inside at the hairpin. Jimmy Connell had nowhere to put his arm because Tim's sidecar wheel was where it should have been. Reeves then up to 2nd place. Gary Bryan leading in the early stages. Chris Walker fighting through. So Gary Bryan leading. He and Phil Hyde on the Santander Salt Kawasaki number 44. The Birchells fighting through, but not nearly as quickly as Tim. Reeves then in front. Tim and Tristan Reeves in front on the 2nd lap. This is incredible. Pack all streaming round, way down the order. Ricky Stevens and Ryan Charlwood. I did mention it was damage limitation for them this weekend. He's nursing this industrial injury to his ankle. That must hamper his gear changing or braking or both. Through on the inside then go the Birchells, underneath Rupert Archer. And look, there's Kershaw, 29. Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark from the back of the grid are making their way through after that very rapid engine change. Ben Holland, Stuart Ramsey with Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde, number 44. So the Hannafin Kawasaki boys chasing down the early race leader, Gary Bryan. Here's Kershaw charging through now on the back of, looks like that's Matt McLaren. Matt McLaren, Eddie Hope. Chris Walker, Ashley Hall's ahead of him. And Chris Walker, well, they're closing. He's in such a confident mood now. Steve Kershaw, 29. And of course, but for that big misfortune at Snetterton, there's Scott Parnell and Mick Fairhurst, number 36, out of the running. So Parnell won't be taking any further part in the proceedings. Right round the outside, wide. Round the outside goes Ben Holland, taking the long way round, but it put him on the good line, the inside for Devil's Elbow. Through they go then. Holland, number 60, rockets past Gary Horsepole. The Birchells next to have a go at Horsepole, underneath at Gerrard's. This corner which goes round and round and round. It must be so hard for the passengers clinging on with their right hand there. Just look at Tom Birchall with his helmet almost on the tarmac, right over the back end of the Mitchells of Mansfield 600cc Yamaha. Bryan flicking the sidecar wheel up. Very good. Passengers can't really work that left-hander to a full extent because they've got to get right so quickly over the back up through the John Cooper S's and up to John Cooper's here this weekend actually. Such a lovely man. Good to see him here. Moon Eyes Cooper. Kershaw then claiming another place underneath Todd Ellis, giving him a lesson how to ride round Shaw's hairpin. Chris Walker and Ashley Hawes are there behind Todd Ellis as well, but take nothing away from what the number 6 youngster has done. he could easily come away from this meeting leading the 600cc Cup Championship. Although the Birchells, if they get victory in this one, as they did in the first one, and they're so dominant on the 600, they are going to be very much in the hunt. Ben and Tom Birchall, as I speak about them, they appear. Number 16 then on this 600, and a place there, they're past. They're past Gary Bryan. Hunting down now, oh, Chris Walker, another retirement for the former British Superbike star, and he's out of it. Chris Walker retires. Well, you can't accuse this championship of being devoid of action, because there's been all sorts of drama further down the field, but race leaders now with a significant lead, something approaching 10 seconds. Second place, the Hollands and Stuart Ramsey pairing, and Ben Birchall right in the hunt. Ricky Stevens having a torrid time actually, fighting his way through the field, but look at this man, Steve Kershaw, up from the back of the grid, behind Gary Horsepole, and just ahead of him the defending champions, Kawasaki mounted. They changed the engine, Kershaw and Clark, as I've said, probably for 3 times, but it's such a significant factor in this race. From the back of the grid, they are now hunting down the defending champions, and it looks like they have the speed. Now, where are they going to do it? Into Edwina's chicane, on board with Kershaw. He's got a lovely, lovely line up there through the S's, and is it going to be an opportunity there? Sprinting up towards Shaw's hairpin. What's Ricky Stevens going to do under pressure? Let's watch the back of Stevens and Charlwood. Are they keeping it tight? Yes, they do. Nicely, but they drift wide. Kershaw senses, no bus stop chicane here. Straight through to the Devil's Elbow. Now, what can Kershaw do down the straight here as he drives out of the Devil's Elbow on the back of Stevens? He's going to pop out of the slipstream going into Gerrard's, is he? Well, we won't see that, because we're on board now with the Mitchells of Mansfield 600 Yamaha of Ben Birchall, who does not seem to be lacking power against the big Kawasaki of Ben Holland. And in the background, and we can see it now, Kershaw is through. Kershaw is through underneath Ricky Stevens. A masterly move into Edwina's chicane. One more place up the ladder for Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark, approaching Shaw's hairpin. Ricky Stevens taking the place back up the inside. Is he going to make it stick? Well, Kershaw punted a little bit wide, but he's in the inside for Devil's Elbow, and he drives back. Masterful stuff this between these two guys. Top level racing here. Gary Horsepole having a good ride as well, very much in touch. Ben Holland, Stuart Ramsey ahead still of the Birchells, who, despite having a good serious lunge at these guys, have not been able to make it stick, but they are matching them for lap times on the 600 and the corner speed. Look at Ben using all the track and more, clipping the apex, going over the rumble strip. He's on the inside and he's through. Ben Birchall, Ben and Tom Birchall then are past Tim and Tristan Reeves, race leader at the hairpin. This is where the 1000 will get the drive, and it does. Ben Holland should be able to out-drag the 600 surely down the straight. Let's see what he's got down here. The corner speed though, Ben and Tom Birchall come out of the Devil's Elbow at a colossal rate, but the big Kawasaki drafts by them and takes the line into Gerrard's. So Ben and Tom Birchall have it all to do again, and Kershaw now on the back of Gary Bryan. That's Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde getting a little kiss from Kershaw and Clark as they go through, but still the Holland battle with Ben and Tom Birchall. Breathless stuff, hardly time for the commentator to draw breath here, I can tell you. And every bit as frantic at the front. 20 laps around Mallory is a busy, busy race. Now Ben Holland, I think, has probably got enough of a cushion ahead of the number 16 red and white Mitchell's bike. This time he doesn't have to fight down the straight, he's sitting in front. Todd Ellis and Chaz Richardson looking immaculate. Charlie Richardson, of course, a vastly experienced passenger, having done the TT as well in bygone years. Still a young man, and these two have clicked very well together. Good to see Ben Holland, Stuart Ramsey having such a nice season. They're looking very good, very polished, and immaculate, I have to say. Stevens and Charlwood. Well, they are going to score a decent bag full of points here at Mallory Park. And there's, oh dear, commentator's curse. They've spun at Shaw's hairpin. Again, that was a very similar incident to the Chris Walker one. Too much brake going in, the back end broke traction, spun it round, and it was game over. And that really is catastrophic for their championship defence. It's all turning to ashes for Stevens and Charlwood on the JG Speedfit Cool Kawasaki in 2017. And such a shame. Double champions. This would have been a hat-trick of title wins, but I don't think it's going to be that way. Through they go again, Ben and Tom Birchall. So Ben Holland took his eye off the ball there a little bit and paid the ultimate price, because the 600 boys are back in front of them. And right on the back of that battle, we can see Kershaw and Clark. And look at that, Holland and Birchall ahead of Steve Kershaw, number 29, unbelievably from the back of the grid. Surely they can't muscle their way past these boys. Well, only time will tell. Can they do it? Very, very determined here. They know they need the points. 29 then on the Express Tyres Blink Bonnie Quarry Kawasaki. And they've attracted 1 or 2 sponsorships in recent days. I can tell you, good news. Some kind person has given them a fuel card. As Alan Founds and Tom Peters spin at the hairpin as well. A fuel card for the boys from Scotland will be a real asset, I can tell you, because they're trundling up and down the country all the time. So good news for Kershaw. Where is he in the race? Well, I tell you, he's not at the front. Tim Reeves is there. Alan Founds gets away again on the Brian Gray Power Viking 600cc Yamaha. Here come the Birchalls. Here comes Holland. There comes Kershaw. They are really, really close. Can he find a way past Ben Holland? It's Kawasaki versus Kawasaki, 1000cc versus 1000cc. It's going to be a tough call. And there in the background, Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde. Phil Hyde, of course, rode with Phil Bell at Snetterton, and could well be riding with Gary Bryan for the rest of the season, as Kershaw is alongside and inside Ben Holland, but no, Ben Holland holds him off on the brakes through Ed Wieners. Are they going to get it now? They're at the John Cooper S's, and Kershaw is on the inside and going. He's through, Kershaw is through. Kershaw past Holland and now in pursuit of the 600, which he'll be thinking should be easy peasy. And if Ben Birchall continues to go in like that too hot, it's going to be easier peasier. Smoke off the back tyre as Birchall went into the S's. A lot of heavy braking going into there, and we've seen several outfits spin as a result. Race leaders still on the Carl Cox Motorsport Kawasaki, Tim and Tristan Reeves. And here's Kershaw with Stuart Clark now on the back of the Birchalls. Look at the conditions here at Mallory Park. Sun beaming down on the tarmac. They're hunting them down at Ed Wieners. It's going to be the drag, I can tell you. The drag from the Lake S's up to the hairpin is where they're going to do it, because the superior power of the 1000cc bike. As Reeves goes over the line to start his last lap, in among the tailenders, Matt McLaurin is in front of him, and Pete Founds, number 72, with Jevon Walmsley behind. Kershaw then didn't do it that time. Out of the Devil's Elbow they go on the last lap. So 1.3 miles at Mallory Park, and he's on the inside, down to Gerrard's, and he's ahead, up to second place from the back of the grid for Stephen Kershaw and Stuart Clark on the Express Tyres Blink Bonnie Kawasaki, having had an engine change. Remarkable, absolutely remarkable, and no more than they deserve. Out of the Devil's Elbow for the last time for Tim and Tristan Reeves, number 77. Checkered flag ahead of them. Double victory here at Mallory Park. Another 50 points in the bag, but it's going to be runner-up spot, unbelievably, and a fantastic runner-up spot for Stephen Kershaw and Stuart Clark, ahead of Ben and Tom Birchall, who again lift the 600cc Cup honours, and the rest of the pack stream over the line. Ben Holland, Stuart Ramsey slipping back a little bit. Could have been an issue there, but there you have it. Double victory for Tim and Tristan Reeves on the slowdown lap. They are thrilled to bits, and a big burnout to celebrate. 18 seconds their margin over Kershaw, but that was incredible. from the very tail end of the field. Birchall's Holland, Brian, a remarkable 5th for Brian and Phil Hyde. Horsepole, what a great ride for them. They've got to be pleased with that. The reverse grid is a success. It really mixes things up and makes it very, very interesting. And there you can see a whole handful of 600cc Cup competitors headed by the Christie brothers.